Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube and X, welcome. We are bouncing over to the Facebook Live platform as well so that you can join us on this special edition of Social Authority, the Blues Breakdown. We are live on Facebook as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Pat Imig in the building. We've got Zach Jalbert in the building. And your boy Pat Hilton. It is the Social Authority Show, Tactical Tuesday. We are going to be breaking down some St. Louis Blues info. There's Zach. Zach, the webmaster. And we're going to be breaking down some St. Louis Blues stuff, some sports stuff, some marketing stuff. And I think the boys look good out there, Pat. We've discussed this at length. They've lost by essentially 1 goal, 2 in a row, to pretty much the best team in the entire tournament, according to the President Trophy. What do you have to say about it?
That's right. Well, they played better in game 2. They didn't have defensive turnovers as much. That was a big problem in game 1. That's been a big problem all year, actually. So they cut down on that. They also got more pucks to the net, which sounds so boring and cliche, but through 2 periods, they were in good shape, and then they got swallowed by the third period death trap again, which isn't really a slight on the Blues. The Jets are good. There's a reason that they're the number 1 seed. And also, the Blues still have a ton of young guys. Snuggerud, Bolduc, all these guys are neighbors. They're all playing in their first playoff games. And when you're going up against a machine that has its own system that's been dominating all year, it's gonna be trouble and gonna be hard to get goals. Having said all that, Binnington played awesome, and I think if the Blues just don't run into him and we had 2 goals where Binnington gave up goals because of unfortunate things. Snuggerud came into him a little bit in that first one, and then Parayko's stick was kind of stuck with Binnington on that second goal. So also when the Blues had their streak, when they were winning 12 straight, every bounce and break went their way. And last night, it's not happening anymore, and that's totally fine. It's not bad luck. It's just they don't have good luck anymore, at least right now. Buchnevich last night broke his stick. There was about 3 or 4 times where guys broke their sticks last night, and that's kind of the stuff I'm talking about. So I still don't think this series is over. I still think it goes 6 or 7, and the Blues, obviously, they need to win game 3, but there's no reason to panic as far as, is this team capable of winning 4 games out of the next, 5? And the answer to me is yes.
Absolutely.
I haven't lost hope. There were so many times that we talked to people and they'd say there was no chance that they were going to be here. So I think they can win at least 1 or 2 games out of the series still, no problem.
Totally. And especially since we've been on enemy territory, and like you said, a lot of young guys. Dude, that Snuggerud kid's like 19 years old, right? Hot off of the college playoffs. And he scored on a rocket yesterday. What's that?
Yeah. I said, think about where you and I were when we were 19. This guy just left college, and he's playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs with guys who have been, in some cases, are twice his age. And those older guys know how to, poke the bear and get draw penalties off the young guys, which we saw less of that last night too. I think game 2 was a lot of the bad things the Blues did in game 1, they improved on in game 2. And Binnington, like I said, if he just stays consistent the way he's been, the Blues can win a couple games here at home and restart the series. And also, the other thing is, with all these young guys, unlike 2019, no matter what happens this year, this team is built for the long haul with the young core that they have.
Absolutely.
And there's not going to be the problems. They lost Pietrangelo right after they won the Cup, replaced him with Justin Falk, and they're not going to have that type of a loss this year in the offseason, more than likely. They re-signed Neighbors during the year, which was really smart. And hopefully Dylan Hollywood comes back for game 3. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's just my hope.
Well, you look at it even from an outside perspective. I don't consider myself some kind of hockey expert, but when it comes to competition, we're competing with them at every single angle that you can compare. Maybe we're making a little bit more quote unquote mistakes, but we had power play advantages, just as many shots last night. We were all over them. And like you said, the only way that they could score is through a brilliant pass that they scored on the go-ahead goal, the second goal. And then you practically had to run Binnington over with your own guys to get it into the goal. And they were coming fast. I mean, this stuff happened. I was using my stopwatch just to kind of be funny. These guys are literally moving in milliseconds. It's not even seconds. You can't even compute how quick these people are moving anymore because athletic competition has scaled to the point where the human body is performing at a rate that we've never even seen before. Nutrition, sports nutrition, training, recovery has all gone through the roof with technological advances, with supplements, with all these different ways to make your body perform better and recover faster. And so, I mean, these guys, and they're Canadian. So, I mean, just naturally, that's just a gene that certain people have that makes them better at hockey. It's just a fact. And so,
on the frozen,
he had to close that out. Thank you for closing that out with as much scientific accuracy as you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, you add in the fact that they're actually genetically born to skate on ponds and win. I mean, and we're losing by a point, right? It's so true, though.
But
like,
it's also in the
back in the day, we had like chocolate flavored protein, strawberry, and vanilla. That's it. Now they have like peanut butter cups and shit that they're drinking.
Did you walk the Stairmaster today?
Absolutely. We got the 10,000 steps in. I'm fired up.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
That's so crazy.
It's great. And so I think
are
that
your legs barking at you.
Yeah, they're barking. They're barking. They're barking like the Blues fans in the comments last night. What's with the angry Blues fans? Can we talk about that too?
Well, I mean, I think people who are follow their emotion. If you go to a Facebook page to leave comments after a loss, the odds are you're probably angry and overly emotional. So, I think that it's par for the course. You're going to have that. You're always going to have the people who are crying the most are always the loudest. I think most people understand. I mean, like I said, the Blues are playing with house money right now. So to say that the word's choking, that's just totally absurd to say that they're choking when they're the number 8 seed. And they won, they lost 4 games after the Four Nations break.
Yeah, I don't.
It was impossible that they even made it to the playoffs. They had to go on an unbelievable run, and they did.
Right, and I don't want to hear it at all unless it's about the Cardinals. I don't want people to complain one lick. And even if you complain about the Cardinals, that's even played out right now. But the Blues, this team has done everything they can, and they got. And
they look great out there.
Yeah,
they lost by a point.
These games are fun to watch. People just don't even know what they have sometimes. This has been a really fun series already. It's not even just the
Blues though. The NHL playoffs is the greatest event in sports.
Yeah,
and other than weekly college football, and the NHL playoffs to me are the most exciting sports going. And you were talking, Pat, about the advances in technology and how athletes are faster now. All of that's true. And I think and I've actually been thinking about this for a couple of weeks, out of all the sports of the major 4 between hockey, football, basketball, baseball, out of all of with the evolution of athletes and technology and fitness and the game itself, hockey has actually done the best at evolving. The NFL has done a lot to just let refs control games and it's all about the quarterback. You can't play defense. Baseball, we don't have time for me to get into that, and they've just completely lost their way.
We'll put a pitch clock on it.
That's right. Put a pitch clock on it. That's right. Well, it's the exit velocity of that comment that I just made was out of this world.
Yeah.
But that's the difference between hockey and baseball. You don't see people after a shot by Parayko, you don't see them talking about the exit velocity of his slap shot. Instead, they just keep broadcasting the game, whereas in baseball,
Pat, before you said that take, I'm actually surprised you didn't go practice it in the mirror, and I didn't tell you.
Just to talk about exit velocity.
Yeah, I have to make sure that you
mentioned it.
You practice it 20 times before you just tell the truth.
The crazy thing is that Gary Bettman, though, is the commissioner of the NHL, is the best commissioner out of the 4.
You don't know who he is.
20 years ago, that would have been crazy to say.
No, because the average person, I don't even hear. hockey fans talk about the commissioner. He doesn't.
He still gets he still got booed when Ovechkin.
Of
during
course
that
he
ceremony.
did. Of
You love
course
to
he
boo
did.
the
But I haven't.
commissioner.
He's the authority.
He's not. Making. He's not making things, into a headline. He's not taking NHL rules like you're saying.
And the game's improved. The
Yes.
game is improved.
Yes,
like,
it's
there's
all
a salary cap. And that's
It's all going uphill.
which helps when an 8 seed like the Blues people, like if this was 30 years ago, a number 8 seed, they probably would get their ass kicked in the first 4 games. And like
Hockey's
today,
right.
the level of play it's so skim as far as the difference between number 1 and number 8 with the skill levels today.
Yeah, you can definitely see that the game is just faster, but at the same time they haven't introduced any stupid rules or any weird, type of oh well, like they could have. And I think one thing I will say is that a lot of folks say that there was more fighting back in the day, and like they had to clamp down on fights and stuff, which I don't know if I even agree with all the way, because I've seen some awesome fights in the past.
I think the 4 nations, when Canada and U.S. fought in the first 10 seconds, they had like 2 or 3 fights in a row.
Right.
I've noticed just from watching games, not just the Blues, that there's been more fighting since then.
Yep.
So maybe that
Yep.
kind of woke people up.
I feel like hockey itself, the game, is it's so cool because it can fly under the radar of trends. So it's like I feel that if UFC wasn't so popular, you might not see the refs backing off and just letting them completely throw haymakers at each other. But I mean, yeah, the NHL has done a great job of just making sure that the game isn't boring. At the same time, it isn't like, an outlier. Every time I go and watch a game, though, it's just an experience. It's so fun to go.
The pace is
Yep.
always great.
Quick.
Even for regular season, it's the most entertaining of the sports, in my opinion, live or on TV.
Well, you get into the playoffs too, and you don't want to be sitting on the penalty bench racking up minutes either. So I think that, like you said, there was like a cross-check penalty that happened when there was a dead play in game 1, and that potentially cost us. Little stuff like that, or fighting or roughing, or it's not worth it in the playoffs either. You got to be careful.
And they got rid of most of that last night.
I 100% agree. And that was the thing that was a shame. That second go-ahead goal by the Jets was a pretty good goal. I mean, I don't know that anybody's stopping that. Binnington stopped everything but that one move. And I mean, the guy was wide open. What are you going to do? And I thought the go-ahead goal in the first game was extremely competitive. What are you going to do? So it's not like they're scoring garbage, but I think that, again, just from an outside perspective, I'm not someone who considers myself to be a sniper. I got to get down there and I got to take 99 shots to get number 100 to go in. And I might miss the first 99. Right. I mean,
Montgomery's putting you're like Esatekin, and he's putting you're gonna peck away at the other team and get them pissed off, and then on power plays you'll get in front of the goalie and annoy him.
And I think that we've got to start doing that. I think we got to start just pounding the pavement a little bit, because when we are physical, especially in game 1, we took the lead.
Getting more physical is good.
We were beating
Getting
them
more
up.
physical is a good call.
Well, I think they were rattled, and I want to see a lot more of that when we take them into the Enterprise Center.
We were getting more hits, but I do agree with you. I wish that they just had a little bit more physicality coming out of the locker room.
Yeah,
they had it. I mean, they out-hit the Jets. They doubled them up in the first period, but I think what happened in game 1 is that they focused so much on getting physical that they kind of let their emotions take over, because you're an athlete moving at full speed and you got emotion running through you, and you're hitting guys, and that's going to lead to kind of penalties too, because you're going to be having those veteran guys on the Jets get under their skin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think game 3 should be exciting. 8:30 p.m. start time in St. Louis on Thursday.
Yep.
The home crowd's going to help. And apparently, this is a statistic too. The Winnipeg Jets have apparently only lost 7 games at home all year.
That's right. And Binnington actually hasn't won in Winnipeg since 2021, which isn't necessarily an indictment of Binnington. It's the whole organization, where they were and where they are now. But yeah, it's not easy to play there. Again, there's a reason that they've been. It's not even just that they're the number 1 team. They've been first place from start to finish. So,
And they're Canadian, like you said.
I mean, it's just
And that's
it's just in their blood up there in Winnipeg.
There's science, there's technology, there's nutrition, and they're Canadian.
It's just genes, basic biology.
Yep.
I mean, I do think that, the way the culture is up there's an argument for that, maybe even for Russian players too. I mean, it's just, since we were a kid, Canadian and Russian players are just good at hockey.
that's why the Tkachuk family is the first family of American hockey right now, as far as just the modern game. They got two great American kids playing.
It's fun to watch, and I think that the St. Louis culture and the St. Louis community has always rallied behind the Blues, and that's part of the fun. I remember back in the day when I first started making those like funny rally songs, it was usually for the Cardinals because, I mean, they've won so many titles. When I started doing them for the Blues,
they actually tried to win then.
That is correct. And and when I started making them for the Blues, it was even funnier because, like you said, even in this series, a lot of the fans are acting like, well, they don't have a chance. Let's just build for next year. And it's like, well, they do have a chance or they wouldn't be here, number one. And number two, just to get into the playoffs, they had, like you said, they had to win 12 straight games. And that was a franchise record, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's like they set a record that no other Blues team has ever done. And so it just, I don't know, just from an outside look as someone who's watching these guys work really hard, it just irks me to see, fans jump in and say they suck or they're pathetic or this guy or Parayko just stands there or whatever. Maybe Parayko missed a couple cues or he wasn't aggressive enough in certain plays or whatever. But like, if you were so great, you'd be out there. Okay, so just a quick reminder for you guys out there. If I could skate all.
The peanut gallery always talks the loudest.
It's so true. Or you get on the mic and you say, I can't skate worth a damn, and one-on-one Parayko would school my ass anyway. So that's the way I look at it. So more props to him. All it comes down to is if they're able to rally, those same people are going to say, well, see you guys, I had it in you. So I get it both ways. But as fans, as content creators, or even as commenters, the best thing that you can possibly do for your boys when they take a licking is to show a little bit of support for them even being there. I had a couple Blackhawks fans texting me saying they didn't even qualify. So it always feels good when the Blues are there and the Blackhawks aren't.
Yeah, the Blackhawks have a couple more years to go, I think.
So
they might turn it around.
So you love to see that. Going into Game 3, what do you see? What do you see them shifting? Is it the same lines? Is it the same matchups? Do they need to do anything different, or are they on the right track? They just need to get ahead and turn up the juice.
I think they're on the right track. They just got to turn up the juice once they get a lead, and then they do need to get in front of the goalie if they can. But Winnipeg's defense doesn't allow that, which is why they're good. So it's not easy it's simple to say, it's hard to execute. So yeah, if they keep up what they started in Game 2 with less defensive turnovers, again, 5 or less would be ideal, and then stay physical, get guys in front of the net, they should be fine. If Binnington has a bad game, then it's going to be really tough. But
well, dude, he has looked really, really good.
Yeah, he's been locked in since February, so I wouldn't worry about that. I think some home cooking will do him good.
Yeah, agree. And then obviously the crowd is always a factor, and that was what was so awesome about Game 1 is we were able to get up on them and take the crowd out of it for a while. And I mean, just all the way until like the last couple minutes. They just pulled it off. Even last night when we pulled the goalie, at first I thought they pulled the goalie way too early, but as that last 2.5 minutes played on, the man advantage, I thought that the Blues held it well, and they just couldn't create a scoring opportunity. Like you said, I think that the Jets' defense is so good that it looks like we're trying to make this perfect play happen, when in reality, it's just hard to create a play at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Blues are so highly skilled that they're trying to do, when they're on the power play, get the perfect setup, get the perfect scenario, get the perfect goal. But when that gets taken away, you got to just get dirty and just start throwing pucks at the net. Hope for Hellebuck's hasn't been that great this series. He hasn't been bad. He hasn't needed to be great, and I don't think that he's necessarily a guy who's going to steal a game for them. So if you can just fire pucks at the net at will, they increase their shot attempts. So they know the drill. It's not like they don't talk about this. I'm sure that they're probably sick and tired of thinking about it. They're probably pissed off that they're coming back down 2 games when they could have won. Really, they could have won both of them.
Totally.
Chances, yeah.
That's right.
They totally
I think
could have won
that's
both.
definitely. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because you can get discouraged. I feel like we said before, we haven't lost hope. They've been playing really well, and I'm not going to say they've just had a few bad breaks because there's been some really strange. You know what I mean? The stick breaking and Buchnevich just didn't.
He had a bad game.
He didn't play good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, everybody's entitled to a bad day at the office.
yeah, that's right. That's right. So he's going to probably come back with a fire for this game.
I
You're
think
gonna give him a pep
that you
talk?
get into home turf, you start
gonna hear
feeling
this.
the energy. They've had to kind of make their own locker room energy and take that on the ice with them. When you show up and you don't have an audience behind you, it can be extremely difficult.
I think they're gonna win. I think they're just gonna win these games when they're back at home. I mean, they're gonna win.
And then what does the
right.
rest of the series look like? So let's say we do win 2, because by the way, in 2019 we won the first 2 games, then lost the second 2, then won the next 2. So clearly,
Yeah, we won 3 games in Winnipeg that year. That was why they started the whole road. That was why they started the whole Road Warrior thing with the Blues, because we were just going into places and not losing on the road. It was crazy.
Yeah, and so I mean, we do have the ability to tie it up because Winnipeg did it last time. The tough thing is it's hard to beat a team 3-4 times in a row.
Yeah, it is, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Wave the
all
white
they have,
flag.
right?
We don't got a choice. Pat.
You got to do it for the towel, man.
That is.
You got to do it for the towel, man.
That's right. And so let's say they do win 2 in a row. I think they're capable of it. Then it goes back to Winnipeg for game 6 or game 6 and 7. What does that schedule look like?
No, it would be 3-4 here, and then 5 is in Winnipeg, 6 is back home, 7 is in Winnipeg.
Oh.
So you try to win 2 here. If you split at home, then you're down 3-1 going into Winnipeg for game 5. That's not ideal.
That's not
but again,
good.
I don't think that I think that fans and people who just talk about sports like we're doing right now think more about that stuff than the actual athletes. I think when you're locked in, if they go into a game down 3-1, they're not thinking about the fact that they're down 3-1. They're thinking about, we got to win this game. So
Right.
I think we overcomplicate it. People on the outside.
Well, yeah, because it's easy to analyze from the outside. The good thing about this conversation is we can actually laugh and crack on ourselves for it, whereas some people just take it way too serious. And as fans,
It's so scientific. It's so scientific nowadays, Pat.
It is. I mean,
with all the technological
with all those
advances.
they're hitting their macros and peptides. It's real.
I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I don't go. You don't want to really be around me during a playoff game.
That's right.
I get pretty intense.
He's not grumpy though.
I'm not grumpy about.
He's good.
I stay adult. I just go insane. Like the dog.
His
gets
dog
scared.
doesn't like it. Let's put it that way. His dog starts walking by the window a little bit more often than she usually does, and she's like, she knows that he's not paying attention to anything, and he's distracted. So then she starts
Wanting
playing,
the attention.
Yeah, well,
That's right.
She's like scared for him, but at the same time, she's like, someone could attack us right now, and you wouldn't be aware of it because you're so distracted by the glass,
So she just
the
starts
glass
barking.
thing.
That's funny.
The screen thing.
Well, when Snuggerud scored yesterday, and when first goal we scored in the series.
Robert Thomas.
Robert Thomas scored the first, and then
Rob Thomas.
Rob Thomas. Whenever
Him
he
and
scored,
Santana had a hell of a song, didn't they?
they sure as hell
It's
did.
like if that doesn't come up though, that
Smooth.
Santana and him wrote. Yeah, they were just like,
That's
hey,
what it was. Smooth.
they were
yeah.
just like, hey, let's make sure that everyone hears this song on the radio for like 2 years straight in the 90s. And
We
thank
could-
you, Rob Thomas. And now he plays for the Blues. He
It's
does a
great.
job.
It's great.
Doing real well.
It's like the Michael Bolton joke from Office Space.
It's the
For
same.
those of you who watched that movie. Michael
He used
Bolton?
to sing for Matchbox 20. Now he plays for the Blues.
I love that scene when they talk about the songs that they love by Michael Bolton.
I don't remember that. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but
It's the greatest
that's a classic.
No, it's just if you just want to see the best scene from Office Space, you just see that one. You just see when
I would argue that it's the baseball bat to the printer in the computer.
that's iconic.
That one is a classic.
iconic.
That is a classic scene, no doubt.
What's your favorite '90s movie, Pat Hilton?
Favorite 90s movie? I don't know. Might be Back to the Future, unless that was late 80s.
I mean, Back to the
Chris
Future
Roth
3
says,
was
my
90,
kids
91."
know to leave me alone during the playoff games.
That's right.
I believe that's your cousin, Chris.
That's correct. Yeah, his son plays hockey too. So
Well, his
they,
son has clearly been informed to stay the hell out of the room when his dad's watching the game.
Yeah, it's an intense labor of love as a fan.
It
It's
is.
absolutely crazy to be a sports fan, and then that's why it's fun though, because you kind of suspend your disbelief and you're like, you go all in on a team, and then you live and die with them for 2 to 3 hours, and then you wake up the next day and
Do it all
you're
again.
still living in the same world.
It's kind of like just being a family in St. Louis. It's really more a rite of passage.
That's right. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, when the Blues are on, every child knows that their parents don't exist. At least one
Right.
of them.
Or they're in a very psychotic mental state and to just stay away.
That's a completely healthy thing for our country to be wrapped up in. That's probably the most. What do you have any science behind that, Pat? Pat Hilton?
I think that a competitive nature,
that has to be great.
I think that, I mean, being an internet
disconnect from reality.
Considering that I got my psychology degree from ChatGPT, I'm clearly extremely, grounded when it comes to these theories. And so, when you look at the
most insane
facts,
answer you could have given.
When
the
you
literal
look-
word for word, most insane answer. To
when
that
you look
question
at
that you could have
facts
given.
and you look at competitive spirit, I mean, who doesn't want to be around somebody that's willing to cheer in a competitive fashion for the person they want to win? And by the way, when did being competitive and being a man and wanting to win become this bad thing?
Over the last 15, 20 years, I look all blotchy. Do I look blotchy to you, Pat Hilton? Is my stream,
No,
my
I think
broadband
that
internet?
I think that the stream looks clean.
Okay.
I
Might
think
just
it
be
looks
on
fine.
TV.
It's always going to look worse on your monitor system than it does to the audience, but on Facebook
Yeah,
it
I
looks
just wanna
pretty
make
clean.
Sure we don't look like. That's good. Okay. I
You
just wanna
guys
make sure
actually
people
look
don't
like
think-
we look like we know what we're talking about and what we're doing. I mean, almost like a Canadian hockey player.
That is.
We are, and there's
right.
not and I actually do have some French Canadian in my blood. My
Attaboy.
grandfather is, he was from, he's a Canadan. As they call him.
A Canadian.
He's a what?
A Canadan.
Is he a Nordique? Is he a
Canadan.
Quebec Nordique?
He was. No, rest in peace to my grandfather. But yeah, he's French Canadian.
You love to see it. You love to see it. So going into Game 3, obviously, series is pretty much. There's only so much time left. And obviously, like you said, the players know this. It doesn't take 5 hours to cover this topic. But I do want to cover some of the fans. I have a couple screenshots of some comments that I really like. I'm going to read them instead of put them on the screen because I feel like if I put them on the screen, then we aren't protecting the guilty, which,
you're doxing them?
which we want to do.
It's a liability.
It's a liability. So this person says, hold on, let me find this here real quick. Okay, this one here. This guy commented on. This guy commented. His name's Mike. He commented on ESPN St. Louis last night, and he put, "My God, all our teams suck. Cardinals don't want to win. Blues insist on choking the playoffs. Battlehawks are overrated. This sucks," is what the person said. I mean, what do you guys have to say about that?
Okay, so first off, the Cardinals don't want to win. I think the Cardinals players want to win.
Okay,
Front
so
office
for
has
for his
decided
first argument, he gets a check mark. Okay.
I'm gonna say it's a pass. Second, the Blues are not choking. They're
No.
playing a very good team, and we're having. I can see why you would say that. It's not fair to say that, but
they would be choking. They would be choking if they were the number one seed.
Yes,
though.
and if they didn't,
they're not. And it's not choking is.
Or
when
if
you
they were
give
getting
away
beat
games.
10-1 and they're not.
no,
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to say they barely made it in because they just made it in, and I think a lot of us knew they were going to make it in. But they're not the number one seed. They're losing to a really good team, and they're losing by a goal or two, right? They're getting go-ahead goals. So that we're going to have to he's not going to be admonished, but we're going to strike that one from the official record
Totally.
of accurate state.
And then Battlehawks are overrated. Where is that comment coming from?
I mean,
That's rough. That's rough.
yeah,
That's rough.
the Battlehawks and they never should have called it the UFL. I don't get big hung up on names of things because ultimately it's the product that is what matters.
Yep.
But I feel like when they merged with the USFL, not calling it XFL, calling it XFL is actually perfect because they are like they're a lesser form of football. It's
Like
the
wrestling and
reality.
it was like wrestling and football put together when I went to the
Well,
XFL
and I
games.
think that's why I don't know this, I'm just guessing, but maybe that's why they went with UFL instead of XFL because it was around the time where there was Vince McMahon allegations in the news and they're like, we got to distance ourselves.
they're trying
from
to.
that.
Well, they're trying to legit.
Call it the XFL. That's what it is.
Yeah, it should be the XFL, and that's because when you were there, it felt like the XFL.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy environment.
I really wish.
So you're
I think
saying
we
I would
should-
enjoy a game?
Yeah.
I think so.
Absolutely, you
Yeah.
would. I myself, I think that holding out for an NFL team in the next decade or two is a possibility still. If we just got a new mayor too, didn't we?
I'm sure she's going to get on.
She's gonna figure that
We got
out.
bigger problems than the NFL. We need to address the 7 sinkholes that are destroying the city's streets right now.
Yeah, I'll just drive around them and just redo the stadium, and we're gonna be fine. That's
right.
Just bring
The
back
dome- the
Mississippi
dome is-
Nights, and the
that-
culture of St.
No,
Louis
this
will
is-
be saved.
See, right? Everyone has some place that's gone away. No, the dome is like decrepit. Like the last time I went to the dome, I was like, it literally felt like 1993.
They redid the turf though. The field's good
They redid the turf.
for this year. Yeah, it's the field itself is.
So
all
do the
fresh and new.
Battlehawks play at the Dome?
Yeah,
That might be a
right,
dumb
yeah.
question, but obviously I don't live there.
No,
and
no.
Go to Battlehawks
It's they
games.
play at the dome. They play at the dome, and the dome is it's absolutely falling apart. And they're gonna have to pretty much tear it all down. And I think that's pretty much the topic of conversation in my mind. Is like, when are they gonna tear it down?
I think that regardless of that conversation, when it comes to XFL, I'm just going to call it the XFL. They need to figure out a way to find a stadium, like an arena, where they can fit a field, if that's even possible. Because having these stadiums with like scattered with thousands of people, that when there's a 60,000 capacity, it just doesn't look good.
It's madness to walk
It's
in
not-
there.
Yeah,
Madness.
and St. Louis is the lone exception, but I think even this year that the attendance might be down a little bit from the previous 2 years. But they got to figure out a way to have smaller venues so that the fans that do go to these games, it's a more like tight environment with more noise, more excitement.
I agree.
The game is going to look more exciting.
I agree.
It's probably harder for guys to play when you're playing in a stadium that seats 60,000 and there's like 4,400 there.
I think that city.
What?
That's just a big discrepancy of full and empty. But go ahead, Zach.
It's
I
just,
agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think it optics in that part of the optics matter more for the quality of play. I think.
Well,
I think
even
that,
as a performer, you walk out onto the field
That's a good
and
point.
the whole place looks empty. It's like, oh, geez, nobody's even here to see me play.
Yeah. No,
Right.
this is all completely valid, and I think that's a big problem as well. Is that when you rebuild something that is going to hold a sports team, it's like, okay, well, how do we make this the 40,000, 60,000 person stadium? And it's like
It'll never be that.
It doesn't have to be. I think
Correct.
you've made a great
That's
point.
what I'm saying.
I
They
didn't.
got to figure out a way to have a stadium that can house a field. Like the Arena Football League when we were kids, I'm not going to pretend like that was this major success, but it was in arenas where there's just a bigger fan presence because there's less empty seats by pure math.
12th man.
That's right. It's the 12th man.
Well, dude, I mean, even ambush games when we were kids, like the arena was full, or the Kiel Center was full of people to see those games.
The Steamers, the Storm,
the ambush.
That stuff was fun.
But like you said, that is a good observation. When you put the field inside of an arena like that you can pack out, like, dude, those games were fun to go to and attend.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I would say I haven't been to a game this year. I think I went to one last year and two years ago, and they were a great time every time. So it's compared to the other sports, it's also very affordable for dad to take the kids to the game for the day.
Yeah, I think that's kind of our whole thing in this city as well. Is we're more we want to believe that we're more in tune, and it's more local, and it's not dangerous as Chicago, but it kind of is everything that Chicago is as well.
It's not.
It's a factor.
You're being honest.
Oh, I got one. So Pat was watching. So Pat's doing his show, his sports show, which
as he should.
Is a great prelude to. And Hilton, he was watching the Bernie Federko's. They were retiring his jersey. There's a YouTube video, and they start playing commercials. And McDonald's had a toasted ravioli ad in 1993. We need to just
1991.
We need to just make a reaction video to that. Just get everyone's reactions. McDonald's selling toasted ravioli in 1991 on Blues Primetime.
Wow.
Who knew?
I got to pull that up for the
I
next
learned
one.
something
I'll
new.
download that file for our next stream together so that I have it.
It's
The
incredible.
first 30 seconds, it's just Ken Wilson narrating all the sponsors. It's like, wow, this is how simple sports used to be.
It's amazing. It literally just the logos in
And
front
brought
of.
to you by Hardee's, all kinds of good stuff.
They close. They open like
Yeah, they
close
name
these
nothing
sequences.
specific that's good.
Hilton
Correct.
TV used to be so crazy. So they dim the lights, right? And it's not like they have low light cameras there. So when they turn the lights off, it's just a black screen.
Yeah,
and then they
so-
just put the logos over it, and they're like, "We're here." I'm looking at this, and I go, "They're genius. They never even had to fade to black. They literally just."
Bruce Affleck's down on the ice, trying to avoid the skaters as they come by, like
Right.
always giving a report.
Right.
Literally on the ice. It's great. If you just search Bernie Federko jersey retirement, you should be able to find it. I actually wanted to watch the game. I wish the whole game was on. It was the Blues and the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then the next night they went to Chicago and they all beat the crap out of each other in the St. Patrick's Day Massacre.
Oh, yeah, when the bench is cleared.
historical
That was
nugget there.
Cujo versus Eddie Belfour, right?
No, you're thinking of Shovel Day from the Red Wings.
Oh, yeah, I am thinking of Shovel Day from the Red Wings. That was awesome.
That's right.
That was awesome.
Pat Hilton, did you watch WrestleMania?
I watched a little bit of it, but just was like the Blues game just burned my soul out. You know what I mean? And so Sunday, I didn't watch much of it, to answer the question.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it
No,
looked
that's
like the
okay.
end.
I'm
I
not
thought that
disappointed-
Cena
I'm not
was going to
disappointed
win.
in you.
I thought that Cena was going to win, and the way that they did it, was it intentionally like that bad? Like, did they just do that to
Yes.
make everybody pissed? I guessed
They
it.
did.
I'm guessing
So-
that.
Yeah, they do this thing now where they actually like carry details over from week to week. So like for the hardcore fans that complain about everything, also
Of course.
they're able to actually say like, oh, this is what I think is going to happen. So John Cena told the fans he was going to ruin wrestling because he's still mad at the fans. So that's his way of ruining wrestling, is making sure that at the end of the match where he wins the belt, it's all because of Travis Scott, which is completely ridiculous. But
Yeah,
when you
and where
understand in
does
the
he
con-
fit? Where
in the
does Travis
context-
Scott fit in?
popularity and
He's a
more
big
eyeballs.
wresling fan.
And he's a big fan.
He's a
Which is
big wrestling
fair.
fan. He came out with the. I mean, his shoes are cool, but he named one of the shoes Cactus Jack, and so he's like
Nice.
clearly a wrestling.
He's
fan.
into it.
You know,
I get it.
right.
I mean, they got to
By
market
God, that man
themselves.
has a family.
They
So,
got to
yeah, we
market
should do this
themselves.
again.
But
We We have to do a getaway trip here in a little while.
Do it. Well,
we're
for the
running
Blues
away.
fans out there that are hoping for a rally, so are we. We are with you. And it's definitely possible. Like we just discussed in 2019, the Jets came back and tied the series at 2-2. And it was, every man for themselves. The odds were way against us in that series too, and we were able to pull it off. So I think that we can do it. I think that take them back home and we beat them up a little bit, and then we're going to have to beat them in. I'd love to see us just beat them in Winnipeg and just take this thing over. So if they can eliminate some of the confusion and stay up to speed with these guys and just put the puck in the net, they can win. Obviously, any idiot can come up with that observation, but it doesn't make it false.
That's right. And also, I will say, even if the Blues do come back and win this series, it's still going to be a tough road. Not because I don't think they're equipped to do it, but the Western Conference for the last 5 years in the NHL, and even in 19 when the Blues went through it, is just stacked. Colorado's scary. They just got back a guy who hasn't played since 2022. He's recovered from a massive surgery, and they could win it all. The Kings are dangerous. And Vegas is always going to be a legit contender. So the Blues have a lot of work to go if they want, but they got to start with Winnipeg first. But either way, I'm just excited they're back in, and they're
me too.
for the future.
Me
Built for the
too. It's
present and
awesome.
the future.
It's awesome. Well, the Dallas Stars won the other night against the Avalanche, so it is 1-1. Stars and Avalanche series. Me being here in Dallas, I would love to see Dallas win that series and the Blues win the series, but we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. So let's go, Blues. Game 3 coming at you. Give them the time one more time, Mr. Imig.
Give them what?
Give them the time of that game one more time
Oh,
for the next
8:30 p.m.
matchup.
Thursday.
8:30 p.m.
We'll be
Thursday.
hosting a watch party in Kansas City that night.
Nice.
Believe it or not.
Watch
So,
party in KC. Ladies and gentlemen,
That's right.
we will see you on the next one. Let's go Blues. For Pat Emig and Zach Gelbert, I am Pat Hilton. And we'll see you on the next one.
You're so authoritative. Mr. Authority.
That's right.
Are we off or are we off?
It's still going right now, but we can talk over the final picture because that's what broadcasters do.
That's
Yeah,
right.
they do.
There's a little bit of a delay on Facebook, but once there it is. Now we're clear. So I'll see you guys on the next one. I'll shoot you a text. Later.
See ya.